All right, I think we're live. Good evening, families of incoming sixth grade students. My name is Joy Wright, and I am the lead learner principal of King Philip Middle School.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chad Ellis. I'm the proud principal at Bristow.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Cookish, and I am the principal at Sedgwick Middle School.
We are excited for this opportunity to talk with you in this general way about what it means to have a student transitioning to the middle school. And so thank you for joining us. So we'll go through our presentation and then we'll have an opportunity at the end for you to ask questions that we'll respond to. You can put them right in the chat. Our goal for tonight is to familiarize you with West Hartford's middle school program that is the same at either of our middle schools, and to provide information that will help you navigate this wonderful transition to the next level from elementary to middle school. And so if we start with a little bit of Monday wisdom, I'll just change the configuration. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. All right. Parenting middle schoolers is unique in that parent and child are on similar developmental tracks. You're both undergoing major changes in your body, your brain, and your identity at the same time of life. So this is a special, special time. And then a little more, you can embrace and celebrate the many changes your tween is going through rather than dread them. And if you do that, increased happiness will follow. And so I know that in many situations, people talk about middle school as this, oh no, middle school. But it's also, oh yes, middle school. There are so many wonderful things that are happening for our students. And here are just some of them. We see their physical development. And so it's not uncommon in a middle school to see a student who is about 5'10" and one who's 4 or 5. And so they change at different rates. There's periods of high energy and at the same time restlessness and fatigue as they're developing. And we know hormonal fluctuations. And then there's also this wonderful time of intellectual development. There's an intensive brain remodeling that happens during puberty. And so some of you may be hearing this now, frequent questioning, why, explain, I want to know more. Increased awareness of the world around them, where they didn't kind of care before. Now they're acutely aware of what things mean in the world that's happening. And then varied ability levels. It's now at this particular time that students start to recognize where they think they fall. And I say that because I believe in a growth mindset around their strengths and their areas of growth. And I think this is why it's also so important to remind them of a growth mindset, and that they are not limited by what they think their ability is, although it may mean they need to work a little differently. And then, of course, everyone loves to speak about the social and emotional development. There's mood fluctuations that's happening. Either everything's a crisis or nothing matters at all. Children copy their peers. This is one of those times where everyone seems to want to fit in. We see similar hairstyles pop up. We see similar modes of dress. We see similar objects that people are carrying around. I've got a group that they all wear flannel pants on a particular day, and they change colors, and there's a bunch of them all wearing them at the same time. Yet at the same time, there's a desire for independence. Most would say it's from the adults in their life, but also there are opportunities where we see that independence even from their peers as they seek to figure out who they are and who they want to be. And so just a couple of rules. Rule number 1, don't panic. And when you forget rule number 1, then go with rule number 2, which is just embrace the stage. we have such a finite amount of time with our students, our children at this time. It's better to embrace this opportunity. And then, of course, rule number three, laugh often. I mean, what else can you do? It's what I love about working with middle schoolers. No day is the same, and they give you a lot to laugh about. And then, if needed, refer back to rule number one, which is don't panic. So, we're excited about this opportunity and what it means for your middle schooler.
All right. Future sixth graders worry about. Now, there's many things on this list, and I'm sure we could also add some more, but these are kind of the main highlights that we find that our incoming sixth graders are worried about as they approach our middle school age. So lockers is definitely high on that list, being able to, number one, find their locker, where's the locker located, and also be able to open the locker. Getting through those crowded hallways without getting lost, especially when you have seventh and eighth graders who may or may not be in part of those same hallways. Having more than one teacher, changing classes much more often than at the elementary level. The lunchroom, the cafeteria, how does it work? Who will I be sitting with? The potential of maybe someone won't be so nice to me. Kids being mean, kids saying mean things or not so nice things. Fitting in and not fitting in, as Joy kind of previously mentioned, that weighs very heavily on our kids' minds when they're coming into sixth grade. And also being embarrassed, saying or doing the wrong thing. So I think I speak for all of us when I say that we can rest assured that our sixth grade teachers at Bristow, at King Philip, and at Sedgwick all do such a wonderful, wonderful job of taking care of our kids. I say our kids because they're your kids, but they're all of our kids. And we truly mean that, and we believe that. And our sixth grade teachers, they really take care of our kids. The second they walk through that door, there is lots of hand holding the first few weeks and even few months. We have so many staff members here who just really, really cater to our sixth graders when they arrive. Our administrators, our counselors, our teaching assistants, our teachers, our custodians. We're all one school, one community. But I do think it's important that we acknowledge the fears of our students coming in, but also that because they are real fears to them, but we also, we want to validate their feelings, but also let them know that we're here for you. We're here to support you. And basically we got this. In terms of focus areas across all three schools, each school has uniquenesses to them, but we are all very similar, and we want to provide that same common experience for all of our West Hartford students. When we talk about equity and inclusion, really our aim here is to create that culture of belonging, that positive school climate where we embed that social emotional learning, where kids really feel seen and heard. They feel like they matter. They feel like they are important. They feel safe coming into school, happy coming into school, and they're proud of their school. I know coming from the elementary level, I was at Whiting Lane. It's my second year here at Sedgwick, Whiting Lane prior to that. And we had such pride in our elementary schools. And that's really what we want our kids to feel when they come to middle school as well. We all have advisory programs where we meet daily with students. We engage in team building and cooperative learning activities based on themes, and we also embed our character education into that program. We have an integrated team approach. So there are 3 teams at each sixth grade at King Philip and Sedgwick. And Bristow, due to the nature of the building, has that one sixth grade team. But we really try all 3 schools to build that community within a community. So we focus on team building activities and support systems that we can establish for our students. We really focus on those activities that are both academic and SEL, social emotional learning in nature. Our curriculum across all the content areas are based on the needs of adolescents, the needs of our students at this age level, really based on inquiry, exploration. We have a very diverse curriculum with very rich learning opportunities. Hands-on learning, we focus very, very much on student engagement, making sure that we are providing a rigorous and challenging curriculum, but also having those supports in place for our students so that they have what they need to be successful and to feel successful here at school. In terms of the transition, just one thing I'd like to highlight, we'll talk more about some of the transition activities in a few minutes, but we have our web program, Where Everyone Belongs, which is really a wonderful program, and it's based on 8th grade peer leaders and peer mentors who are role models for our incoming 6th graders. And we hold activities before school starts to bring all of our 6th graders together, to give them a tour of the building, to connect them with familiar faces, and to meet new friends in their advisory groups. So that's just a really wonderful program that we have with our web leaders at our schools. When we talk about connecting each child, we really want our kids to feel at home in each of our buildings. And there really is, at all 3 schools, something for everyone, every interest, every skill, every ability level. So just to name a few, we have our unified programs, which are very near and dear to us at all 3 middle schools: unified sports, unified theater, which is just amazing. We have an intramural program, a very robust and diverse in terms of its offerings, with many different sports and activities. We have team trips that we'll take throughout the year, team building exercises and activities, really building that community within the team and within our schools. School clubs and activities are abundant. I could go on and on listing them all. Right in the middle now of our Kids Lit Quiz group, we have a Makerspace Club. We have a student council, our student leadership forum, robotics club, theater, drama, Pokemon Club. We still have one of those. I'm sure the other schools have their unique clubs as well. Our music ensembles, our very strong music program, cross country, mock trial, our Pride Club, step team, yearbook committee. So there's so many ways to get involved and to become engaged in the school community based on the interest of your child.
All right, so at this part, we talk a little bit about the curriculum. We're not actually going to get into any level of detail. That is really way beyond the scope of tonight. And tonight really is much more about the experience of middle school and some of the developmental expectations that you should have. But we did want to put this here for you. If you were curious about the ins and outs of what the curriculum your children will be learning looks like, you can take a look at the WHPS.org webpage, go to the Curriculum and Instruction Office and Assessment, and then there you can find links to everything that your kids will be learning in their years with us, grades 6 to 8. We can skip to the next. There we go. So I get to talk about the fun part, the paradoxes of parenting people in puberty. So this is the stage of the developmental piece. So this would be the stage where I would ask those of you in the audience to put your hand up if this is going to be your first child in middle school. So go ahead and do that, and we will look. And okay, I see you. Yes. I see. Okay. Yes. So a couple things to keep in mind if this is your first experience with kids at this age. Things to anticipate. There are some changes that some parents really don't know to expect that we want you to assure you are perfectly normal and perfectly appropriate. So one of those things is the first bullet there where it says, but this is hard. So some students have for a very long time, they've been very, very successful in their classes in elementary school. And then suddenly it's different in middle school. The expectations are higher. There might be some homework, whereas before there maybe wasn't homework. This may be the first time where children experience a degree of some degree of rigor that they're not used to. And they may actually have to put a little bit more time and effort into achieving that level of success. Again, that is very, very typical and something that kids should anticipate. The other piece is you will see changes in your child's behavior. And again, that is due typically to neurological changes, hormonal changes that would affect their mood, their affect. I've had multiple conversations. I'm sure Karen and Joy have as well with parents who have said, I don't recognize my own child anymore. They used to be so loving and they used to come for hugs. And now I can barely get them to sit at the table with me. That is a very normal and a very natural part of this age. So it's not necessarily that anything is going wrong. It's just part of your child's experience. So just be prepared for it. And then the last thing where I said, that's not how I raised my child. Joy talked a little bit earlier about how kids will model after their peers more so than necessarily what they would have modeled from their parents. So there are times where any number of things can happen where kids will make an impulsive choice. They may do something impulsively or, trying to get a laugh. And it is something that you would not anticipate in a million years, and it might shock and mortify you. Again, not anything that is atypical. And certainly if that were to happen, as Joy said, go to rule number one, don't panic. All of us have survived middle school with kids of our own that we have. And so we're here to help you, especially again, if this is your first time through. And then lastly, we used to have a slide here of SpongeBob, just their face going because of the feeling of it. As a parent, middle school can at times feel like it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, but it's really not. I do think that one of the things we have done a disservice. A lot of people's impressions of middle school still go to popular media, movies. And I think that those are sort of the frames of reference people have when their kids come home and they tell them stories. I would say that life in middle school is not easy, but it is really not like how it's depicted in the films. So I can say, take some deep breaths about that. A few other key things to just be aware of. We've talked already about how peers become more influential, but parents and caregivers will always be the greatest influence, no matter what. And while we're trying to teach them to look ahead toward the future, few of the decisions that they make in middle school are going to be life-altering. We talk about the beauty of middle school. It is a safe place for kids to experience setbacks. I use the word failure. I know that word, gives some people the willies, but it is a safe place to fail. And it is a safe place to experience failure, which then helps breed resilience. And that is one of the things that I would say, a lot of kids, not just in our schools, but in this age, they could use some experiences to build resilience. Now is the time for them to do that. Young adolescents definitely need opportunities for independence, but they also need boundaries too. So as kids get older, they're going to be looking for increased freedom. But again, as the adults and the caregivers, we need to be the ones to set reasonable expectations and boundaries for them. We do want to set the bar high, but don't be disappointed if they're unable to reach those expectations. We certainly want them to reach for the stars, but if they fall a little bit short, that's okay. And your children will heed you. They're just not on the same timetable. And this is one of my favorites where it says, one day they too will say, I sound just like my mother or father. It may be 30, 40 years down the road, but every single one of us has experienced that. And again, another thing for you as an adult, parenting is a full-time job. It is the most difficult job any of us will ever be called to do. Take breaks for yourself. Have fun. Try to listen without judging, even at times where you find your values might be challenged by what your child is saying. Now is the time where the reactions that we have to what they bring to us are going to shape their sense of the world and the sense of the relationship that they can expect with us in the future. And then the last thing really is for yourself as a parent, try to find balance. Everybody, you have a lot of expectations on you as well as an adult. You may have, a ton of work responsibilities, family responsibilities. trying to still maintain a sense of your own individuality as a person. Remember to take time to breathe, reach out, ask for help when you need it. We are certainly here to offer whatever supports we can, and the value of us as well. If we can't provide it directly, we are fairly well connected with different types of organizations and agencies in the community that can provide those things.
All right. So what can parents do to help their child's transition to middle school? We know it's not here yet, but it's coming soon. And I think what we would say first is to stay involved. As much as our kids sometimes think it's not cool for us to come to school, to attend a PTO event or another school-wide activity, we find that the kids really do secretly want you to be there, and they're excited when they see you at their school. Chaperoning a dance, coming for the school welcome back picnic, coming in for a principal's coffee, whatever it may be. The students really do want you and appreciate you there when they see you. Also, staying connected. So this is important time in a student's life for them to develop responsibility, resiliency, as Chad just spoke to, and ownership for their own work and for their own academic progress. But we also, it's that balancing act of keeping tabs on PowerSchool, making sure that you're checking to make sure assignments are in and that we are communicating with the teachers. And again, that goes both ways. So it's finding that balance of keeping the tabs on your child, also to praise and support your child and discuss the progress that they are making at school with them, because you are aware. Stay tuned to your child's social media life. And this is a big one for me right now. I have a 10-year-old daughter at home, and I am very much in tune with her social media life because she wants it to be on a very grand scale, and I keep trying to push it back down. But laughing aside, we know how important it is to make sure that our kids are safe online. We focus on that at school, and we know that our parents in our community focus on that at home as well, making sure we know who our children are talking to online, what games they're playing, what websites they're going to, having those parental controls in place. Very, very important. Establishing regular communication with teachers and counselors is just critical. Communication around your child's progress in middle school is a two-way street, and you should expect to hear from us, from our faculty and staff, and we also expect to hear from you, and we welcome your emails and your phone calls and your questions. You want to make sure that you ask the questions that you have so that you can stay informed and that we can solve problems, whether small, before they grow. And regular communication, we find really, really helps with that. Also, to recognize that the staff members, the teachers, the administrators, we are partnering with you. And I know we say that often, but we truly mean that. We want every student to be happy, successful, healthy, socially, emotionally, and just well prepared for middle school, for high school and beyond. And we know that we need to work together in order to make sure that that happens, that it truly does take a village, and the best results are gained when we can have that open and honest dialogue and that true collaboration with you.
As we think about transition, timeline, and activities, just some information for you. The transition orientation, you're here. This is the first part of this initial transition to the middle school process. Chad, do you want to say something about the Bristol Lottery?
Sure. I know it says that the letters are mailed. They're actually email. And I would say I get many, many messages every year from folks that, say they did not get the message. Check your spam folder because a lot of it is filtered out. So February 17th this year is the target date. And from February 17th to March 16th, we ask people within the lottery notification, there's a link that we ask you to click on, and that is what we call the preference. So it's basically if your number were to come up, if you would accept or would not accept a seat. I know one of the questions that comes up, which I will anticipate now, is our timeline. I know tends to be before the orientation sessions for KP and Cedric. So if it comes up and you're not sure, we recommend say yes. You can always change your mind later. But if you say no, you cannot change your mind afterwards because we have so many folks on the list. Once you say no, we move on to the next person.
You should have received in your emails, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a course selection email. Again, check your spam if you're saying you did not see that, but it's a course selection because at the middle school level, students do need to identify if they're going to take a performance music. They need to identify which language they're going to take, if it's going to be Spanish, French, or world language. And so we do need to know that. So please make sure that you look for that email, and we'd like you to have those selections completed by March 14th. We have this deadline because we make budgetary considerations regarding staffing based on these numbers. So it's very important. If your child says, I want to take Spanish, and then you decide March 14th, and then April 7th, they're like, oh, I really think I want to do Chinese. It's fine. Just let us know. All right. Just let us know. But if you could please make a decision, that would be helpful in our hiring process. So again, please check your emails. There are videos on how you do that in case you're not familiar with Power School. And if you feel like you like to put it in paper, please ask your child's fifth grade teacher for a paper form, and you can submit that to us into your school, and they'll get it to us. School specific information nights. So Bristow's nights are March 2nd and 5th, and it'll be 6:30 to 8 p.m. There will be self-guided tours and a presentation on both nights, right, Chad? And then it's KP, we're going to have March 9th, our presentation from 6:30 to 7:15. And then on March 16th, that day is reserved for our tour night with our KP ambassadors, and parents and families will sign up for tour slots between 4:40 and 6:30 p.m. And at Sedgwick, their orientation night is March 23rd at 6 p.m. It'll include a presentation, a family walkthrough, and then there will be a building tour, family walkthrough in late August. Did I get that right, Karen? All right. And then in terms of transition timelines with our staff, just know that all of our counselors and all of our middle schools meet with grade 5 teachers, and that happens around April and May. And then elementary students come up, fifth rising, sixth grade students come up with their schools during the month of May. Usually we're done by May, maybe the first week of June if necessary. So if a student is elected to go to Bristow at that time, those students will tour or will go to Bristow, so they don't miss out on that opportunity. They will be there as well. And then each of us has a sixth grade kind of meet and greets in the late summer and fall. And then, of course, we have our open house in the fall. And what I don't have in there as part of that process is our transition time with our web crew, where we have our eighth graders working directly with our sixth grade students. And so each of our schools will mail out or email that information separately. And just so that you know, there are resources, so many resources for you as you're about to enter this stage. But I can say, having become familiar with these resources, there's some great ones here. 3 books that I'd say: Middle School Matters by Phyllis Fagel. Just great entry-level book if you're looking at it, a quick read, but great questions within that. The Emotional Lives of Teenagers by Lisa Damar, that's also a wonderful read. And then for those of you who are like, 14 talks before my child's 14, they're not even 11. It's more of a great framework for types of questions during the stage. But the best part for me of this book is just the way they teach you how to frame conversations with your preteen and teenager, because sometimes communication can be difficult at this stage of the game. And it really does provide wonderful framework for how to have healthy communication with your tween and your teen. And then Chad will send this out, but then if you like videos, podcasts, etc., you can click on any of those links. All right, we are at this point where we're going to answer your questions. We see that there's already some in the chat, and so we'll go through those. Of course, You can go ahead and continue to ask some questions. I'm going to go ahead and read it, Chad and Karen, and if you want to jump in on one. So the first one is, if my child is chosen to attend Bristow and decides it's not a good fit, can they go to the zone school if space is available, and vice versa?
Yes. So the quick answer is yes. You'll hear a little hesitancy in my voice only because with a couple changes in our administrative policies for changing school locations, we do ask that kids commit to at least 1 year. The reason for that is because staffing levels have already been allocated. For kids to switch schools, during the year can potentially create a hardship for the receiving school. Having said that, if a student does come to Bristow and for whatever reason it is not a good fit, if there's a compelling reason to make a change during the school year, you would just need to contact the superintendent's office, and then they would go through that decision process. Otherwise, at the end of the year, you would just let us know that you would want to go to your neighborhood school, and we would take care of that. In terms of coming to Bristow, it is not that easy. We have a lottery process for students going into 7th grade and going into 8th grade as well. So each year, some years we have 0 open seats. Some years we may have 2 or 3 open seats. But we try to maintain our number. Our target number is 105 students per class. Anytime we have an opening, we do go to those lotteries to fill those. So that similar timeline to what we have now. I think in December, we typically post the updates to the website. And if you were to go to the student selection process website on Bristow, there is a section there. One of the tabs talks about the selection process for grades 7 and 8.
Sounds good. All right. The next question that was posed here was, hold on a second. Just had it. How is the transition in particular with special needs children? Like when it comes to using the locker, transitions between classrooms, when they don't necessarily do everything independently. I'll start here. I can say, mirroring something that Karen said, we have excellent teachers and we have excellent special needs teachers. And so they work directly with them along with our paras and student aid staff to support our students. And so for lockers, for example, in KP's hallway, they have their own lockers, and some of them have locks and some of them don't, which is fine. Some students use key locks that are provided by the school, depending on what their needs are. They have, if it's within their plan, they may have adults who are with them to support them with the transitions and navigating their schedule. There are visual schedules that are provided as well for students who may need that visual support so that they can move from place to place. I want to say, regardless of the school, your child will be well taken care of, and they will receive the supports necessary to help them navigate their new school life in the middle school. Please feel free to jump in, Chad or Karen.
I agree fully. I know I speak for all 3 schools. And I think we all know, as a West Hartford community, what makes us so wonderful. And we have people coming to our West Hartford public schools from all over the country because of our special education programs that we have built here. And they're just phenomenal. And as Joy said, I think, whatever any child needs, they will receive, in terms of that individualized support.
There's a question about freshman students getting senior buddies for the first week. I will say all of our transition, our web programs might look a little different, but I will say that there are peer mentors. Our teachers, again, are fabulous. Our 6th grade teachers know exactly how to help transition students. And so for the first week, teachers typically are walking students to classes or taking groups from one class to the next. All of our buildings are different, but they're getting that support that they need. And I'm telling you, when you come and you talk to those 6th grade students, they'll say, we got it. We're okay. So when you come to our schools, talk to current 6th grade or 7th grade students, and they'll let you know that they are well taken care of. So don't worry. There is someone walking them through their schedule and making sure that they know where they need to be.
Yes.
Should students attend the events in March or only caregivers and guardians? I'll say for Bristow, yes, right? Chad is like,
Yeah.
yes, you would they want
Yes.
them on those nights. I always invite students to come along. Our presentation night, sometimes people say, can they sit there? Well, where we make it exciting for the adult and the student. And then, of course, on the tour nights, they should be there to walk through with their parent or caregiver. So, yes. And Karen, same for you.
Yes, students are welcome at our transition night too. Absolutely.
And
On
and
March
either of us know sometimes, depending if this is your first middle school or if you have multiple children, you may not have childcare. Bring the littles, all right? Do what you have to do. Family affair, okay? We try to keep it short enough so that if necessary, you can kind of scoot out if little ones need to get to bed. But yes, a family affair. And then will we receive the school schedule before the first meet and greet in August? And I'm not sure what we mean by meet and greet. The student walkthrough, I know that Cedric has one, the family walkthrough, we have one. What you will have is a schedule on Power School by that point. And so by that point, we've opened up the portal and you know what your child's advisory is and their general schedule. We do not provide paper schedules before the first day of school. We save that. There's still some minor tweaks that might be happening, but we save all those paper schedules for the students, and teachers again walk with them and kind of help them write that out so that they can see what that looks like. But you will have access to your child's schedule on Power School if you'd like to kind of walk them through that. That's what you'll see before our first web day for their orientation. Do students have to take a language? Yes, unless they have a program, meaning it within their individualized education plan that has another intervention that would take the place of a language. Yes, students have to take a language, and we expect that they commit to that language over 3 years. And let's say they say Spanish was great, they do end up with a high school credit at the end of the 3 years, but maybe now they want to study, you know Chinese or ASL or Latin, they can certainly switch at the high school level. Yes, we will share this deck resource and the links. Chad will send an email out. Someone asked a question about the letter and where it came from for the course selection. And looking at what I received, it looks like it came from our individual schools or West Hartford Public Schools. January 13th was the first time that the course selection email was sent out. So you want to look for West Hartford Public Schools or check King Philip or Sedgwick Middle School. But January 13th was the date that those emails were sent out.
And I would say, just if that doesn't work, I do think Eileen Eustace, who is our director of secondary education, I think she's the one that technically sent them out. So you can check for her name as well.
Access IDs and passwords for Power School, I believe those instructions are within that. But all of our West Hartford elementary families have access to Power School. If you are coming into West Hartford, meaning your child currently attends a school outside of West Hartford, a magnet school, something like that, but you intend to register them, please go through the registration process and with residency. And at that point, you'll receive information for Power School. We can't give that information out if you haven't registered your child. You can live here and your child can attend a different school, which is why you have to register them with West Hartford Public Schools. List of electives available for students who do not want to select band or choir. Someone want to take that one?
Sure. So we don't have electives per se. What happens is we have a period that is called Learning Lab, which really is sort of a structured study hall. So students, if they take band, choir, orchestra, quest, that is scheduled during that Learning Lab time. Students that, for whatever reason, don't have any of those things, they would just have time to complete work during the school day each day.
And Chad, if your child gets into Bristow, will their younger sibling have more of a chance to get in as well?
Uh, it depends. So the quick answer is yes. We do have automatic entry for siblings, as long as the older sibling is going to be entering eighth grade when the student is coming into sixth grade. So we have a few situations. For example, a student this year is in eighth grade. Their sibling is currently in fifth grade. That is not an automatic entry. But if a student is in seventh grade and their sibling is currently in fifth grade, they will have automatic entry. The district does not separate siblings in that case. Having said that, in my time, we have had at least 3 sets of twins that have opted not to attend the same school. So we currently have one that goes to Bristow, the other goes to Sedgwick. Years ago, we had one that went to Bristow, the other went to KP, and I forget if it was KP or Sedgwick for the other set of twins. But that is, sometimes kids want to have their own individuality, and families are okay with that.
Yep, my sister and I went to 2 different high schools, so it happens. Chad, what would you say is the difference between Bristow and the
Yeah.
other middle schools?
So I would say the biggest thing is size. And I do want to clarify size in terms of overall student population. That does not translate to smaller class sizes. We have the same class sizes on average as KP and Sedgwick. I would encourage anybody that wants to know about sort of the character of our school, please come to one of the 2 orientation nights. I will say that because of the smaller size of Bristow, we do have a significantly larger percentage of students with IEPs and 504s. This year, we are a little bit more than 1 out of every 4 students has an IEP. And I think KP might be 19% and Sedgwick at 17%, and we're at 26%. And a lot of that is students, because we are a lottery and students and families can choose us. Students that tends to really need or want a smaller environment, whether it's for sensory issues or some other type of reason, they tend to prefer the smaller environment. As well, the other reality, each of the schools architecturally is very distinct. We are the second newest school in the district. So we have that beautiful, we have a lot of natural light. I love the
say our schools aren't beautiful, Joy.
I
No,
feel like
I'm
that's what
gonna
you're trying to say, Karen,
I
or
love
that we're old.
But he's right. Or we're
Sedgwick,
old.
Cedric has that beautiful Art Deco style, and KP has the Cold War chic that we love so much. Night straight out of 1955. It's just beautiful.
He is right, though. Bristow is a beautiful building. It is a gorgeous school. It truly is.
It's
I
like if
call
you
it Hogwarts
remodeled,
for a
right?
reason.
Karen, what's the rules on cell phones?
Oh, we don't like cell phone. No. Well, I think, and I battle this at home with my 10-year-old, as I said, but we take cell phone use very seriously. And while we know that as parents, you want your child to have access to their phone and bring it to school for that communication, after school, if they want to text you or call you, and we completely understand and encourage that. But our kids get into a lot of trouble. Not all of our kids, but there's certain, at times of the year, certain groups of students get into trouble with those phones. It's so easy to send a text message in a group chat, saying something not so nice about someone else. We see a lot of, not a lot, but we do see the social media, the bullying types of activities. We talk to our students about it all the time. And I know that at Bristow and KP, it's the same. So it's a blessing and a curse to be able to hold a cell phone in your hand as a student. And it often opens up doors and places for them to go that they're not ready to go yet. So we make sure that we keep those phones that brought into the building I sometimes will have students walk in. I'm at the front entryway in the morning on the phone with mom or dad or a sibling. Okay, phone away. They know, they see me, they shut it down, they put it in their pocket. It goes right into their lockers. It remains powered off in their locker all day and then goes home with them at the dismissal bell. Students will walk out, and a lot of times, as soon as they're out the door, they'll turn that phone on. And so it is an off and away policy, very similar to the high school.
All right, thank you. And then there's a question about dates. When will we know which middle school our kids will be attending? I think it all depends, as Chad said. You have until, is it March 16th?
Right.
March 16th to decide if your family has a low enough number, if you're on that list. You'll find that as every fifth grade family gets that information. And there is no choice. If you live on Sedgwick side or KP side, you're always welcome to our school. So we don't tell you when, you just assume you're coming, all right, unless you make a decision to go ahead to Bristow. Information regarding sixth grade specific orientations or transition information for web, those will be given at our transition nights in March. So you can look for those specifically then. To have it here, that's not really the context of this meeting, but we'll have those specific dates for those orientations at our individual nights in March. So I think I answered all the questions that were here. If there's anything else, please let us know.
There's one more that came in about safety measures.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, so the question came in, same level of safety measures in middle school as elementary. I would say, certainly yes. I know each of the schools, again, related to sort of the architecture of the building. We all have the same security protocols. There may be particulars about how we react to certain things that are different because of the context of our buildings. But by and large, we have security officers and, the same types of drills, protocols in place.
I saw another question about whether or not we suggest that families invest in a family PC. Most elementary homework is on paper. But you're right, we do a lot with Google Docs. I think that's a family decision. For families who are in need, there are a limited number of loaners at each of our schools. It's not enough for every student to have one. So I'd say if a family does have the capacity to invest in either a family PC or Chromebook or something of that nature, certainly do so. My recommendation is that as I love that word family PC, which means it is not just yours alone, child. It sits in a common area. It is aware. That's how it worked in my house. But if there is a hardship, again, each of our schools has a certain number of allotted loaners for families who are in need. And if people have multiple siblings, that's why a family PC and possibly a loaner might be necessary. Chad, do people apply for the lottery at Bristow?
Everybody is automatically entered, so there's no need to do anything. Anyone that is currently attending fifth grade in the West Hartford Public Schools, and that also includes families in the open choice program, you're automatically entered into the lottery. The only people that would need to apply for the lottery would be if you are attending a private or parochial school and not currently in, one of the elementary schools.
Okay. And Karen, do students need to bring a personal laptop to school?
No, we will provide Chromebooks for students. We are fortunate enough this year for the district to supply us with Chromebook carts for the majority, not every single classroom, but for the majority of our classrooms have Chromebook carts. So that as opposed to students carrying around a Chromebook with them all day long, this is so much easier and so much better. They go into the room and they can just simply take their assigned Chromebook out of the cart. So we do provide all of that here for them.
There was a question about tour dates or presentation night, so I just put the slide up. Again, Chad will send this out, but you can certainly take a picture or screenshot of this because this lists those for Bristow as well as whatever your home school may be as well. And so, in terms of transportation, if you get into Bristow, Chad, will you be
Yeah.
eligible for a bus?
Yes, most definitely. So we are the only school that has students from every neighborhood in town. The only restriction on busing is actually you need to live more than 1.5 miles away from Bristow to qualify. So actually, if you're far away from us, that helps you more than if you are closer.
All right. And just so you know, curriculum information can be found on the West Hartford Public Schools website, and that will give you information regarding our math or ELA, as well as our specials curriculum. All of our academics are listed there as well, so that you have that information. Classrooms per grade and how many kids in each
Mhm.
classroom on average. What are we, about 23, 25, 23 to 25 class students in the class? That can, some of our honors classes might be a little bigger, sitting at about 27. And as Chad said, that is similar across the schools. And so it's not a smaller class size. There's always variations, right? There's always variations, but on average, between 23 and 25, and it might be a little higher in some other ones.
Mhm.
um a calendar. I don't know. I can speak for Cedric, so a planners or a KP. I'm not sure about Cedric and Bristow. We put on our supply list for families to purchase a planner. That's one of the things that we put on our supply list. We do not provide those directly to students. For us, it was a huge cost and people weren't really using them. And so, but we do put it on our supply list. I'm not sure, Cedric or Bristow, do you offer student planners to incoming students?
We have started doing so again. We found a number of years ago because of the cost, we stopped, and it actually it was kind of a strong negative, and we were not as successful getting families to purchase them. So we just went back to providing them.
Mhm. And we currently provide as well, but it's something honestly we're looking at. And I know I just had a conversation with one of my school counselors the other day who's teaching, going into classrooms, teaching all of our counselors going to teach. And she was teaching an executive functioning lesson and talking about the agendas. And she found shockingly that barely anyone uses their agenda. We have about 10% using it. So she said to me, maybe we should think about that. I said, okay. So we currently do, but that I'm not sure, maybe subject to change. We're not seeing the students using them the way that we'd like them
Right.
to. So something we're looking at. We're just not that it's going to be taken away, but we're talking about it right now.
I'm
Is
not
there
sure if I understand this question, how many classrooms per grade? I could speak for, as Karen mentioned, at KP and Cedric, we have 3 teams per grade. And so though each team hosts about 110 students. And so in terms of classes, the core classes, which include math, science, social studies, language arts, and world language, right, are kind of split among that team of students. So that's how we kind of do classes. And even though Bristol has kind of the 6th grade team, it's a similar process, correct? So that's how we look at classes
Yeah,
specifically,
it's a 9-period day.
right? Recess, folks. Do you guys have recess?
We don't call it recess, but we do during advisory time because we understand the value of physical activity and fresh air. We do like to get the kids out. So during advisory time, when we can, we like to bring the kids outside. Don't play football in the front yard or play frisbee, or some kids like to sit outside and just play cards if it's nice weather, which is fine. So we are in favor of that, but we don't call it recess. We call it, an advisory break outside.
Yeah. And I would say for us too, during nicer weather after lunch, we typically, we have a 30-minute lunch wave. We try to, take 15, 20 minutes to eat, clean up, and then the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, we try to go outside.
Right. And it's similar at KP as well. Some students have twice a week when the weather's not nice, we'll also do a lunch and play kind of thing. So whatever we can, and our teachers are well versed in kind of adolescent development. And so when there's opportunities to have movement breaks within and outside of the classroom, we want to give that to our students, though we don't have a formal recess period. The time for a middle schooler. School starts at 8 a.m. So that final bell rings at 8 a.m., but our doors open at 7:40. And so the warning kind of bell is at 7:55. So we want students in classes before that 8 a.m. bell. So they're ready to take on the day. Okay, so again, here are our transition timeline and activities. If you want to see us again in person, in real life, then we will be at Duffy Elementary School next Thursday, 7 p.m. But in case you're saying, no, but I know someone who didn't make this and they want to see us in real life, please let them know again. We'll be at Duffy Elementary School next week at 7 p.m. But again, please look at all of our transition information as well. There's just a couple other things here. Do letter grades begin in middle school, and what grade are honors or AP? When are those starting to be distinguished? We do have letter grades. They do begin at middle school, A, B, C, D, and F. And then in terms of AP, those are high school courses. Honors, we have honors math at 6th grade right now. And then honors ELA is added at 7th and 8th grade. And there are some students who may be accelerated in math or a world language who might be taking a grade above them for one of those courses where it's all said and done. And then for lunch, we'll go over those kind of protocols specific to our buildings, but typically people are in the lunchroom. They may have opportunities to go to part of that time to the library. Sometimes teachers host learning sessions or time with them, but no, they do not roam the building because we have other kids in other classrooms in session, and our responsibility is to know where students are at all times for their safety. But there are different places, and our counselors, our amazing school counselors, also kind of offer lunch bunch kind of opportunities for students as well. All right, well, this is our time. We thank you so much for joining us tonight and letting us talk amongst ourselves alone. So thank you for joining us online. Obviously, this is available as a recording. And so should you want to watch it again, in case you can't get back to sleep, feel free to play the recording. And I loved what a comment said. Just remember rule number 1. This is a wonderful time in your child's life and in your life. Don't panic. Embrace the stage. Thank you so much. And we wish you a wonderful evening. Good night.